15 accountants crumble at midnight as a delivery girl whispers, "Don't sign this, millionaire." Midnight loomed over the tall buildings like a sinister shade. In the heart of the bustling city, inside a glass tower bustling with fluorescent lights, 15 accountants sat around a sleek conference table, all of them oblivious to the darkness outside. Tension thickened the air, filled with the sound of flickering overhead lights and the rustle of papers that suddenly became a haunting symphony. As each man shifted nervously in his seat, the clock struck 12, a midnight stroke that felt more like a death knell. Everything changed when she appeared. A delivery girl, maybe 18, with wild hair and piercing eyes, burst in. The door swung open with a creak that echoed through the room. In her hands, she clutched a manila envelope, its edges worn and frayed. Something about her presence twisted the vibe in the room, sending shivers down their backs. She paused, breathing heavily, her chest rising and falling like a distressed animal. "Don't sign this, millionaire," she shouted, her voice sharp and urgent. The accountants froze, pens hovering over crisp contracts. A look of disbelief washed over their faces. How could a girl like her hold such power? "You don't know what you're getting into." The whispers among them grew louder, a chorus of disbelief and confusion. The lights flickered again, casting strange shadows that danced across the walls. One accountant, pale as a ghost, voiced what they were all thinking. "Who the hell are you?" She stepped closer, her fierce eyes locking on his. "I know things you wish to forget." Her voice dropped to a whisper, yet it carried the weight of 1,000 warnings. "They're not just contracts. They're traps." The clock ticked ominously. As the unease swelled, the accountants exchanged worried glances. Some shifted in their seats, brimming with skepticism. Others felt the cold grip of fear. What could she know that could upend their lives? "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon, and while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Silence blanketed the room as everyone stared at her. Despite her small frame, she radiated a fierce energy that filled the stark corporate walls. A sudden chill slipped through the gap in the glass windows, sending a shudder through the accountants. They could almost hear their hearts pounding louder than any ticking clock. Could she be right? Who was really waiting in the shadows behind this deal? Just then, the sound of footsteps echoed in the hall, heavy and deliberate, approaching fast. The girl's eyes widened in alarm. "You need to decide before it's too late," she hissed. Their chance to break free from whatever dark fate loomed over them hung in the air like a storm ready to burst. But was it a warning or a threat? The door rattled violently, and they all jumped, the tension at its breaking point. As the knob turned, the room held its breath. Was it salvation or doom? The door swung open, revealing a silhouette that seemed to absorb the light around it. In the doorway stood a man dressed in a tailored black suit, his smirk an unsettling contrast to the shock on the accountants' faces. He was tall, with slicked back hair and an air that screamed authority. The air in the room shifted, thickening with his presence. "Sorry to intrude," he said, his voice smooth like honey yet dripping with menace. "I hope I'm not interrupting something important." All eyes darted back to the delivery girl, who stood her ground, her fists clenched tightly, a mix of defiance and fear flickering across her features. The atmosphere crackled with tension, a standoff poised at the edge of chaos. "Who are you?" one of the accountants stammered, his voice cracking in disbelief. "Just a messenger." "Really?" the man replied, uncertain laughter dancing in his tone. "But one of great significance." He stepped into the room, eyes fixed intently on the manila envelope that the girl clutched. "Do yourself a favor, sweetheart, and run while you still can. Stay away from her," shouted another accountant, rising from his seat. The chairs scraped across the floor as panic spread like wildfire. "We don't have anything to do with you. Get out." With a flick of his wrist, the man dismissed the plea as if swatting a fly. His gaze turned steely. "You think you're safe here? You have no idea what you're playing with." The girl took a shaky step forward, her voice firm despite the tremor. "It's you who doesn't know what you're dealing with," she shot back. "These contracts, they bind you to a fate you can't escape." Laughter erupted from the man, the sound chilling. "Fate? You think fate is some kind of mystical force? It's just a word used to mask the real players at the table." He strolled closer, eyes glinting with malice. "And right now I'm that player." The accountants exchanged panicked whispers. Confusion ricocheted off the walls. They were trapped between the girl's warning and the man's dark charisma. Just beneath the surface, an unspoken question loomed. What were they agreeing to tonight? Suddenly, the lights flickered and blinked out, plunging the room into darkness. Gasps filled the void as dread washed over them. In the chaos, someone clutched the table for stability. When the lights returned, the man stood now just inches from the girl, a menacing smile stretching across his face. "What's the matter? Not so brave now, are you?" he taunted. A chill raced down her spine, but she wouldn't back down. "You think power intimidates me? You underestimate the truth." She lifted the manila envelope, drawing their attention to it. "This doesn't just seal your fate. It's the key to their downfall." "Enough of this nonsense," the suited man barked, his voice like thunder. "You don't know the damage you could cause. Hand it over." The accountants were glued to their seats, hearts racing. Minutes felt like hours. Fear gripped their chests. "Who was this man? Do you want to know what comes next?" the delivery girl asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from beyond the boardroom door, like a prelude to madness. The accountants shrank back, instinctively dragging away from the noise, but the girl stood firm, eyes blazing. "Buckle up, gentlemen. This isn't over," she declared. But as the door swung open with a deafening creak, revealing shadows crawling in from the hallway, the question loomed. Were they truly prepared for what was coming next? Would they heed the warnings or seal their own doom? The shadows that poured into the room moved like restless spirits, swirling around the suited man with an energy that seemed almost alive. A deep silence settled in, cutting through the tremors of fear that rippled among the accountants. In the murky light, the figures creeping in took shape. 3 men, rugged and imposing, stood at the threshold, their eyes scanning the room, searching for something or someone. The suited man smiled, a predator among prey. "Hello, boys," he greeted, the familiar tone in low, husky timbre sending a shiver down the girl's spine. "I see you made it, just in time for the party." The accountants shared helpless glances, their panic morphing into confusion. One of them, a stout fellow with glasses, stepped forward, shaking his head. "What's going on? Who are these people?" The man in the suit laughed, the sound hollow and mirthless. "They're here for a little fun, certainly more exciting than what you were about to sign." His eyes swept back to the delivery girl. "And you, dear, better hand over that envelope, or things will get messy. Get back." The girl shouted, her voice echoing against the high ceilings, filled with flair and ferocity. She held the manila envelope closer to her chest, breathing heavily. "You think you can scare me? I know exactly what you're after. Such fire," he cooed, stepping closer, eyes glinting like daggers. "But I can assure you, it's the flame that burns out first." He gestured to his companions. "Boys, let us show her what happens when you cross the wrong players." Without hesitation, the 3 men lunged forward, their movements quick and purposeful. The accountants leaped to their feet, chaos erupting as they scrambled to the back of the room, their instincts screaming for survival. "Get her!" one of them yelled, desperation coating his voice. But the girl remained resolute, finger hovering over a small button on the envelope. It was an emergency signal coded into the very parchment she feared to relinquish. "No!" she shouted, raising the envelope higher. "You want it? You'll have to take it from my dead hands." The suited man's expression twisted into a mask of anger as he realized her intent. Foolish girl. You don't understand the risks. Suddenly, the door slammed shut, trapping them in a space of rising dread. It was as if the building itself had decided to conspire against them. The lights began to flicker from dim to blaring and then black. Shadows danced across the walls, more alive, more ominous. Who are you? What do you want? An accountant screamed, his voice cracking, echoing terror that spread like wildfire in the room. The delivery girl's heart raced, but beneath the fear, determination ignited. You'll never take this. It's bigger than all of you. And just like that, as the darkness thickened like a suffocating shroud, the girl pressed the button. A piercing alarm shattered the silence, reverberating through the building, marking them with a warning. But with that, the shadows lurched forward. The delivery girl felt the energy shift, a palpable tension electrifying the air, as the hustle and bustle of the night faded into a stillness deemed tragic. What have you done? The suited man hissed, eyes blazing with fury. Could she hold on long enough for help to arrive? Would the alarm lead to their salvation or their ultimate doom? A chilling thought gripped her. What if it was already too late? The alarm blared, a ruthless siren cutting through the heavy silence, and the suited man's eyes widened with disbelief. The brothers in shadows shifted, their momentum faltering for a split second, as if the sound itself held a power that could disrupt their intent. Fools! He spat, regathering his composure. That noise won't save you. With a dangerously swift motion, he lunged towards the girl, a feral snarl curling on his lips. She barely had time to react. Dodging to the side, she felt the rush of wind as he sailed past her, colliding with a nearby table. The other men were relentless, following their leader's charge, pushing the accountants closer toward panic. Get the girl. One of them barked, voice gravelly and wild. The accountants, trapped against the wall, pressed together, their faces a blend of terror and disbelief. The delivery girl's heart hammered. The envelope weighed like a stone in her hand, the code inside promising protection. But the sheer ferocity in the men's movements sent dread spiraling through her stomach. Leave them out of this, she cried, bobbing and weaving, feeling the adrenaline flicker through her veins. Too late for heroics, darling, came the accented sneer from the suited man, now back on his feet. This is a show, and you're the star. The moment hung heavy, fraught with uncertainty, as the accountants glanced out of the corner of their eyes, weighing their options. Behind her, the flash of a badge appeared on the door, a glimmer of hope refusing to fade. Listen, she yelled, pressing the button in her pocket, an echo of hope fighting through chaos. There's still time. If we wait, but the suited man shouted over her, commanding the shadows. No more delays. Get her before we all end up in pieces. The urgent growl of men ready to close and push the room to the brink. A clash erupted, bodies jostled as the accountants scrambled to escape their fates. One accountant, a tall man with tousled hair, grabbed a metal chair, wielding it like a weapon. Stay back, he yelled, eyes wild with fear and resolve. But the suited man just laughed, a sound that twisted through the darkness, filling it with malice. Oh, how quaint. You think you can protect her? You don't even know why they're after it. The girl narrowed her gaze, meeting the man's challenging stare. I do know, she shouted fiercely, and I won't let it fall into the wrong hands. But she couldn't shake the tremor that rumbled in her chest, fear mingled with the knowledge that the stakes were far beyond her understanding. Sudden footsteps echoed outside the door. Then a powerful crash shattered the tension as heavy boots kicked it in. The room flooded with light as two police officers stormed in, weapons drawn. Freeze! Hands in the air. A moment of hesitation fell as the suited man straightened, a wild smirk creeping onto his face. Looks like the party just got interesting, he said, his voice low, as if drawing power from the chaos. Would the arrival of the police bring salvation or doom? In the chaos, the delivery girl glanced at the men surrounding her, desperate eyes meeting hers. She needed to make a choice: save herself or try and save them all. Stay strong, she shouted, rallying everyone as best she could. But in the back of her mind, the question loomed larger than life: would she even stand a chance against the unfolding power play? As the lights flickered above and the suited man vanished into the tumult, a terrifying realization struck: what if the villains inside the room weren't the only ones at risk? Chaos erupted again as the suited man melted into the shadows, his laughter echoing like a sinister melody in the air thick with fear. The accountants froze, bewildered, unsure if the sudden distraction from the police was their salvation or a prelude to more danger. "Get down," one officer shouted, but panic surged, and the accountants reflexively dove for the floor, knocking over chairs and tables in their hasty retreat. The crack of wood splintering echoed against the walls, underscoring the frantic scramble. The delivery girl stood rooted for a moment, heart pounding in her chest. She had to act. Her instincts roared at her to either flee or fight. Without thinking, she tightened her grip on the envelope, the weight of it feeling like a lifeline, as if it pulsed with energy that could turn the tide. "Everyone to the back," she yelled, her voice cutting through the din. The accountants looked up, confusion etched on their faces. "Trust me. Move now." A few hesitated, minds racing with fear, but the urgency in her tone ignited a spark of rebellion. They crawled, shuffled, and stumbled toward their only escape. Breathing heavily, they piled together at the rear of the room, a mass of bodies pressed against the wall as the police officers advanced, taking cover themselves. "What's going on here?" one officer shouted, casting anxious glances toward the entrance. Tension hung thick in the air as the seconds stretched like an eternity. "Suspects in black suits. They're dangerous," the delivery girl exclaimed. "They're after me. And something in this envelope." She thrust it forward, her eyes wild under the harsh lights, trying to convey both urgency and determination. Another officer barked commands, setting up a perimeter. The air crackled with uncertainty. The suited man had vanished, but fear of his return lingered, and the cop's presence brought a fresh wave of adrenaline crashing over her. "No one moves." The lead officer kept his gun raised, scanning the edges of the room. Felt like a war zone. And yet, in the eye of this storm, she could hear her heartbeat pulsing louder than the chaos, a melody rising within her. Suddenly, a muted thud echoed from the other side of the room, and she turned just in time to witness the suited man emerging from the darkness, his face a mask of rage twisted into a predatory grin. Behind him, shadows loomed. His men were returning, regrouping like storm clouds before a deluge. "Did you really think you could escape?" he taunted, gaze fixed on the delivery girl. "You might as well hand me that envelope now. It will make this far easier for you." The accountants gasped, faces pale and wide-eyed, gripped by collective dread. They had hidden wonders of greatness within their confines, unaware of the chaos that could unfold around them. "No," she shouted, stepping forward, clutching the envelope close to her chest like a shield. "I won't let you have it. You don't even realize what it holds." "Such bravado," he sneered, his eyes narrowing. "But this is no time for a lesson in heroics. The deeper the game goes, the more devastating the fall." Before she could respond, one of the officers stepped forward, anxious resolve in his eyes. "Back away. We will not hesitate to use force." But the woman knew the clock was ticking. Her pulse raced not just from fear, but from the knowledge that what she carried could change everything. The slip of paper inside had power beyond her understanding, yet held weight like a ticking bomb. "Don't sign anything. Don't trust them," she shouted, desperation twisting her words like vines in a storm. And with that, the suited man lunged, but the officers reacted instantly, firing a warning shot that ricocheted off a wall. Sparks flew, illuminating the chaos, but the room's attention shifted away, like moths to a flame. In a moment that felt like slow motion, she locked eyes with the suited man as he staggered back, rage morphing his features. But existence in the room lay suspended, and she knew, right then, everything teetered on a balance she couldn't comprehend. Suddenly, a second group of footsteps thundered outside the door, more than just police. A wave of intuition wafted through the delivery girl as her heart sank. "More of them," she whispered in horror. What they didn't know was that this fight was far from over. Would they all find a way to escape together? Or would those shadows descend upon them before they even had a chance to run? The deafening sound of boots echoed as the second group stormed into the room, their entry like a surge of dark clouds rolling across the sky. The delivery girl's heart raced even faster, and she fought the urge to scream as her worst fears materialized before her eyes. "Stay down, FBI!" shouted a tall, stoic figure clad in an official tactical vest. The contrast between the suits of the suited men and the dark uniforms was unsettling. This was no longer just chaos between criminals and police. This was a full-blown confrontation that could spiral out of control at any moment. She turned to the lead officer, whose expression flickered with uncertainty. "They're working together," she screamed, jamming the envelope further into her chest as if it were a shield against the entire world. "They want what's in here. Do not move." The suited man's voice held a chilling authority that echoed off the walls. He stepped forward, a predator drawing nearer to its prey. The officers raised their weapons, tension boiling as the two factions squared off. But the delivery girl felt utterly trapped, an innocent caught in a malicious game. "What's in the envelope, sweetheart?" he taunted, an unsettling smile stretching across his lips, dark anticipation lurking in his gaze. She could practically see the gears turning in his mind, calculating, scheming. "Something you can't have," she fumbled, every second bringing her closer to the precipice of despair. Drawing on her courage, she turned to the FBI, her voice trembling. "You don't understand. They'll do anything to get it. I can't let that happen." "Enough," the FBI agent barked, his voice cutting through the tension. "We need to get everyone out of here safely." "Safely? What are you thinking?" The delivery girl snapped back, the desperation boiling over. "They want that envelope. You don't even know what it contains." "We can protect you," the agent replied, frustration evident. "But you need to trust us." Trust. The word felt heavy in the air. Could she? The suited man began striding closer, his movements smooth and predatory like a wolf nearing its prey. She felt every pair of eyes bore into her. The accountants flattened against the wall, the police on edge, all holding their breath waiting for just the right moment to act. "Stay back," she screamed, shaking the envelope. "You'll ruin everything." But even as she spoke, her voice trembled. Fear had a way of gnawing at bravery, and panic threatened to overwhelm her. There was a sudden shift in the air, a crackle of electricity as the suited man raised his hand, signaling for his men to halt. "Very well, little hero. Do you want to play a game? Let us see what happens when we open that envelope." "No." The scream erupted from her throat. Just then, she felt a sudden surge of realization. With flickers of courage igniting within her, she understood that whatever was inside had the potential to shift the balance away from darkness and chaos. But the suited man was relentless. "Once I get my hands on it, no one will stand in my way," he hissed, stepping ever closer. "Now hand it over." The FBI agent moved forward, muscles taut, eyes glimmering with resolve. "In the name of the law, I won't let you take her." In that split second, the room exploded into a whirlwind of movements, voices raised, and bodies colliding. The accountant's terrified faces twisted in confusion as a struggle ensued. The delivery girl felt the world spiral out of control, her heart pounding like a war drum in her chest. She could almost feel the envelope's urgency matching her frantic pulse. Suddenly, a distracting shout broke through the cacophony. "Behind you!" And just like that, everything shifted. The door slammed open, sending a gust of wind that knocked everyone off balance. A new figure lurked in the doorway, cloaked in darkness. "Enough games," the newcomer said, voice steady yet menacing. As she turned, chills raced down her spine. Who was the stranger? What madness would arrive next? The walls closed in around her as every pair of eyes turned to this new challenger. Could it mean salvation, or was it the harbinger of an even greater threat? The delivery girl grasped the envelope tighter, her grip a testament to her resolve. What other secrets lay hidden within? Would they unearth the truth, or would it remain buried beneath the chaos? The storm was brewing, and its eye was about to collide with theirs. The newcomer stepped forward, his face partially hidden by the shadows. It was difficult to tell whether he was friend or foe, but the way he carried himself suggested he wasn't here to play nice. The tension in the room thickened, an unholy mixture of dread and anticipation. "Who are you?" The FBI agent barked, aiming his weapon at the intruder, muscles taut as a bowstring. "Someone looking to end this," the figure responded coolly, his voice like ice slicing through the air. He glanced at the delivery girl, recognition flickering across his eyes. "You've got something they need, don't you?" A flicker of hope sparked within her, but it was quickly snuffed by a sudden wave of fear. What if this guy was just as dangerous as the suited man? She stood rooted as the chaos swirled around her, knowing she had no clear path. "Get down," the FBI agent shouted, pushing her to the floor, his protective instincts kicking into high gear. They landed hard against the ground, the sudden movement knocking the wind from her lungs. The thud echoed, a cacophony amidst the chaos. "Stand down," the suited man growled, eyes narrowing at the shadowy figure. "You're outnumbered, and you've got no idea what you're interfering with." Laughter, chilling and disarming, filled the air. "Oh, I know exactly what I'm interfering with." The newcomer stepped wider, shadows falling away to reveal a glint of metal under the poor lighting. A weapon. Her breath caught. Time slowed as the noise escalated into a tempest of screams and shouts. A body hit the floor, and a chaos of bodies surged, some trying to grab the delivery girl, others aiming savage punches at the suited men. Bullets whizzed past, and someone yelped. She could hardly breathe. Panic was a living thing, clawing at her throat. The envelope felt alive in her hands, as if it pulsed with energy, wanting to be part of the fray. But what was in it? She never dared to look, not wanting to risk losing it. "FBI, drop your weapons," the lead officer yelled, desperately trying to regain control, but his authority was slipping. The delivery girl could see fear etched across the faces of the accountants, their suits rumpled and their dignity gone. More shouts erupted, panic mixed with confusion. Everyone wanted a piece of this explosive scenario. She had to act. "Wait," a desperate plea escaped her lips. "You don't understand what you're all fighting over." The chaos faltered for a split second, tension hanging in the air like a coiled spring. Everyone's eyes turned towards her, their intentions frozen. "What do you mean?" the suited man asked, leaning closer. "What's in that envelope?" She couldn't back down now. "You need to calm down. Whatever's in here, it could destroy everything," she managed, her heart racing, mingling with the shouts echoing around them. The dark figure nodded slowly, assessing the situation. "Then let us end this before it escalates." He glanced at her, those piercing eyes somehow grounding her amidst the chaos. "Hand me the envelope." "Are you crazy?" the FBI agent shouted. The hesitation and fear in his eyes mirrored her own. "I'm not asking for permission," he said, moving closer, voice low, intent on her. "You need to trust me." Trust felt impossible, but deep down there was something reassuring about him. If only she were brave enough to act. Before her resolve could collapse, the suited man shifted again. "Enough of this." His voice boomed through the room like thunder, shaking her to her core. "It's your last chance, girl. Hand over the envelope or we'll make you." The power dynamics in this room felt fragile, ready to shatter. But what if she didn't just hand it over? The weight of the choice pressed down on her like a vice. Suddenly, another body crashed against the wall, marble and dust flying, and she knew they were running out of time. This moment, the split second before chaos erupted again, was slipping away. Who would she entrust with the truth? Her heart pounded, and she steadied her breathing. What happens next could change everything, but would it be for better or worse? The storm was raging outside, and its fury was mimicked inside these walls, holding her fate hostage. "Make your choice," the dark figure urged, just as the suited man lunged forward. Would she make the right choice, or would it be the end of everything? The suited man surged toward her, the fury in his eyes all-consuming, drowning out all reason. The dark figure moved with deadly precision, intercepting him with a fierce grip on the man's collar. It sent shockwaves through the room. She felt the rush of air as the two collided, and for a moment, every other sound faded, leaving only the thump of her racing heart. "Let go of me," the suited man barked, twisting in an attempt to free himself, but the newcomer's grip was ironclad. They struggled, teetering dangerously close to the chaos that roiled around them. "Get her out," the dark figure shouted to the FBI agent, eyes fierce and focused, just like the weapon gleaming in his hand. Now, her mind froze. She couldn't just run. Not when everything balanced on that envelope. "Wait," she screamed over the din, desperation clawing at her throat. "I need to know what's in it." "Trust him," the agent yelled, voice strained as he still aimed his weapon at approaching threats. Behind him, figures scrambled over furniture, and panic flared. Someone drew a knife. The air was electric with fear, webs of tension binding her limbs. She felt tethered to that envelope, a lifeline and a curse all at once. "What if I don't?" she whispered, swayed by a blurt of instinct. "Then we're all dead," the dark figure warned, shoving the suited man back a step. The man stumbled, rallying his composure only to glare back with loathing. "You have no idea what you're tampering with," the suited man growled, his voice low, dripping threat. "That envelope contains more than just paper." Suddenly, she realized, this fight wasn't merely about her or the envelope. It was about the future. It was about lives hanging in the balance, hers alone, and countless others. The weight of choice pressed suffocatingly down, and a cold sweat broke out across her brow. "Enough," she blurted, taking an unexpected step forward, matching the fierceness in his eyes. "If you want it, you're gonna have to earn it." The chaos momentarily paused, a hush falling across the fray as if the entire room held its breath. Every set of eyes turned towards her, uncertainty swirling like smoke in confusion and fear. The suited man's eyes darkened. "You have no idea what you're challenging," he hissed, stepping into the space between them, a predator closing in. But she didn't back down. "Then show me. Convince me why I should trust any of you." "A foolish game," he purred, stepping closer, a dangerous grin spreading across his lips. "You're out of your depth, girl." The FBI agent raised his weapon again, panic sparking in his eyes. "Don't engage her," he pleaded. "We need to get out of here, fools." The dark figure interjected, his voice rising. He spun, releasing the suited man, who staggered and glared back. "You think you understand? You think this is about you?" A spark ignited the air, tension snapping like a live wire. Just as her heart pounded a frenetic rhythm, she felt the envelope's energy thrumming against her palm. An invitation and a plea. "I need to see what's inside," she shouted, her eyes darting between the fighting figures. "No!" Both men yelled at the same time, voices crashing against each other like thunder. But it was already too late. As she finally pulled the envelope open, a bright light burst forth, blinding everyone in the room. The chaos faded, replaced by gasps and silence as she revealed what lay within. What had she unleashed? Shivers raced down her spine as she took a breath to steady herself, knowing that once that choice was made, there was no turning back. "What have I done?" she whispered, heart hammering, unsure of what was coming next. Would the truth prove to be a weapon or a salvation? The light pulsed in waves, flooding the room with a raw energy that felt almost sentient. Her heart raced, pounding against her ribs like a frantic drummer. She wanted to scream, to run, but her feet felt glued to the ground as the revelation unfolded before her. "Close your eyes," the dark figure barked, shielding the suited man with his own body as the blinding light flickered like a strobe. The agent winced, muscles coiling with tension, ready to spring into action. But the moment stretched, heavy and uncertain. "Get back," the suited man yelled, face contorted in rage and fear. "You don't know what you're playing with." The intensity of the brightness began to wane, revealing images swirling within. Her fingers trembled, but she couldn't tear her gaze away. Splintered visions, faces, places, and secrets she couldn't comprehend fluttered around like moths drawn to a flame. "Please, what is this?" she murmured, voice trembling as clarity slowly seeped in. A fragment of a face emerged, someone from her past, eyes wide with terror. A silent plea born of betrayal. "I told you," the dark figure growled, jaw clenched as he struggled to maintain his stance against the suited man. "You're in over your head." The agent blinked, looking back from the struggle to the floating images, slowly processing what they were seeing. "What the hell is in that envelope?" he whispered, a mix of awe and apprehension marking his expression. "Stop! You can't stop this!" The suited man lunged forward, but with an instinct born of desperation. She held the envelope tighter, the light streaming into her veins, igniting something deep inside her. Suddenly, everything shifted. The visions coalesced into a single image, a contract, inked and elegant, the names blurred but familiar. She could almost make out the figures shrouding its power. Words floated around her in the spaces between heartbeats. Betrayal, death, a secret promise made in shadows. "What does this mean?" Her voice broke through the suffocating air, urgency rushing in. The suited man's expression shifted, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his features. "You don't want to know," he began, but the dark figure interrupted. "No. If you comprehend this, you'll understand the danger." His gaze locked onto hers. A turbulent storm of emotion. "Could change everything. Your life, your future. You must make a choice." Memories churned in her mind like a storm, flooded with faces and moments that had shaped her into who she was. She bit her lip, wrestling with a fierce swell of determination. "What if I decide to refuse?" she challenged, feeling bold in the face of such unknowns. "Then you'll lose everything." The words dropped in the void, heavy with conviction, echoing echoes of contentment and ruin. "You'll be a ghost just like the rest of us." The shadows whispered around her, clutching at her, urging her to seize control. Her shoulders tightened as the weight of expectation settled on her. If this was a choice between survival and surrender, she wasn't sure which path she could trust. As the last vestiges of light dimmed, she could see them. Desperate eyes searching for clarity, shadows gripping their shoulders, futures teetering in a vulnerable balance. "What if I was to fight?" she murmured, heart racing faster than her thoughts could keep up with. The instant her words wrapped the room, the boundaries shifted. The air compressed. Their surroundings flickered like a faulty signal. With a feverish intensity, the outlines of the men blurred, twisting as panic set in again. "Run!" the agent shouted, and the dark figure lunged for her, a desperate move. But in that heartbeat, everything dissolved into chaos as she stumbled backward. They vanished, all three of them, leaving her alone with the flickering shadows of a reality she had yet to understand. "Wait!" But the words fell into emptiness. She was left holding the glowing envelope, energy still thrumming beneath her fingertips. Where had they gone? And what would she discover in this new reality she had unwittingly unlocked? The silence was deafening. With each breath, questions ballooned within her, whispering of dangers lurking just beyond her comprehension. Would she regret the choice that lay ahead? Or was this just the beginning of something unimaginable? Mysteries unfolded, drawing her in, daring her to plunge deeper into the unknown. For the faint echo of a promise lingered in the air. The truth was waiting to be claimed, if only she was brave enough to reach for it. The light from the envelope enveloped her, as if the universe was cracking open to reveal its secrets. The room's atmosphere shifted, a palpable electricity sliding through the air like a live wire. Where had they gone? What had she unleashed? She steadied herself, heart hammering, desperately looking around for anyone. The chaos that had engulfed the boardroom vanished. The authorities, the suited man, the dark figure, they were all gone, leaving just her and the envelope that pulsed with energy in her hands. Taking a deep breath, she opened it wider, and a surge of light shot out again, bathing the room momentarily before dimming. The shadows receded into the corners, leaving only the weight of silence behind. An unusual sense of calm washed over her. "I can do this," she whispered to herself, stealing her resolve. I have to see what's inside. Lifting the contents soft papers with unmistakable artful ink, she unfolded them. As images flickered in her mind, memories surfaced. Faces she hadn't thought of in years illuminated the page. Names, connections, betrayals all woven into a tapestry that spoke of a hidden world. She now felt tethered to a world where secrets pulsed like a heartbeat, waiting for a brave soul to confront them. The truth, she realized, was going to set her free, but it demanded a price. Struggles played out in her memory, her family, the ones she loved. They were always in danger because of her silence. If she could reveal this, she could expose the darkness that wrapped around her life like barbed wire. Freedom was within reach, but only if she had the courage to face it. Suddenly, an echo bounced off the walls, the sound of a door creaking open. Panic slicked her palms, and she tucked the envelope deeper into her jacket. It was an instinct born of survival. What if they came back? Then she remembered their faces, the accountants, confused and frightened, and finally, she could feel again the weight of her responsibility. If they had to fight, she owed it to them to guide them through this storm. "Hello?" she called out, voice shaking but firm. "Is anyone there?" Her heart pounded, echoing louder than her words. A figure stepped out of the shadows, gleaming suit. Dapper haircut, it was one of the accountants, the stout one with glasses. What happened? His face was ashen, but his eyes searched for answers. They were here. "But now I think this is our chance," she replied, holding up the envelope. "It has everything we need to stop this madness." Faint murmurs began to creep back into the room as more faces emerged from the remnants of chaos, uncertain yet hopeful, gathering around her. "What are we supposed to do?" asked another, a trembling accountant with worry etched across his brow. She stepped forward, her fear transformed into a determination that felt liberating. "We expose them. Every contract, every bribe, it's all tied together. If we make this public, we can end whatever game they were playing." Their eyes widened as whispers rippled through them, igniting sparks of solidarity. "Together?" one whispered. "Yes. We are stronger together. We owe it to ourselves, to our families." She could feel it now, the warmth of their shared conviction lifting her up. As she shared the contents of the envelope, the names, the accounts, the trades, they huddled closer, the room filled with renewed hope. The weight on her shoulders eased. They would fight together, ready to take on the darkness that lingered. And together, they would expose the shadows. No more secrets to bind them, no more fear to hold them back. As the night deepened, the steady pulse of their collective resolve became louder. Outside, the city hummed alive, unaware of the storm brewing within those glass walls. With hands shaky but determined, she dialed the number for the media she had memorized, heart racing in the knowledge that she had taken a step toward dismantling a web of deceit. "We're coming for you," she whispered into the phone, a smile breaking on her face. "And we're not going away." The dawn was about to break, and in their hearts they all felt it. The promise of a new beginning, a goodbye to fear, a shout into the night that change was coming. Now was their moment. Remember, you need to subscribe now so you don't miss any of the exclusive stories we've got lined up. Smash that like button to feed our algorithm and help us keep getting this content out to you. Fill that comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. And don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. So let us keep this momentum going.